Welcome back. Another episode of Tying with Steve. Turn the TV down there, dumbass. Today we're going to tie the gold-ribbed hare's ear. We're going to start off with a size 12 scud hook, heavy scud. Notice the bend. Gives this fine little action when it's rolling through the water. Makes it look a little more alive. I'll be using some 15 thousandths lead wire. I'll be using some dark and some light hare's ear dubbing. We'll be using 6/0 uni thread black. We'll be using some gold holographic tinsel for the gold rib, and of course my trusty Sally Hansen for head cement. So first we're going to put 8 or 9 wraps of lead on here. Wiggle that off. Wiggle that off. Make sure it's tight. We'll slide it up about a hook eye's width behind the hook eye. That'll give us just a little bit of weight. Get it to sink. And we'll start our thread. See, I put my fingernail behind it so it doesn't move. This lead will just slide wherever it decides to. Put a couple turns there, and then we'll batten it down. Get behind it. Little thread dammer, we'll pull it tight. That looks good. Wrap it back, we'll wrap it back forward. We'll build this up a little bit. Nice taper into that lead. And we're gonna wrap our thread on back on this. Because of the scud hook, we're gonna come around that bend a little bit further than you would on a straight shanked hook. We'll take a piece of Mallard Flank, and we want about half that hook shank length for a tail. Maybe a little less. Something about like that. Let's clean this up. It's got some strays sticking out. There we go. And I just trimmed that off a little bit. That straightens it out. There we go. Something about yay long. Maybe a hair more. They have stumpy little tails on a hare's ear. And we'll tie that in. And we're going to try and keep that feather flat. And we'll do some wide wraps to keep it right where we want it. I can hold it with my right hand. Wrap over with my left. We want it flat, we want it on top. And about where the thorax is going to start. That'll give us plenty of room for that thorax. So, cinch it down a little bit. We'll tie in a piece of gold ribbing right there. And we'll try and wrap that tight the whole way back. And right back to our tie-in point on the tail. We'll start off with some light hare's ear dubbing. A little trick with this real hair is to lick your fingers a little bit. Helps spin it on the thread a little more. Can't find my wax. The wax would help immensely. If you wax your thread at this stage before you put the dubbing on, it'll really stick to it real well too. So we'll make our little noodle. Notice it's tapered up here towards the end. Oops, I just messed it up. It's tapered towards the front. It's thicker back. And we'll start off right there. Don't be afraid to give it another twist once it's started. It keeps the whole thing from spinning on you. And we want to build up a nice tapered body. And we could use just a teensy bit more. Hit and miss with the dubbing. It's easier to add it than it is to take it away. Get our thread in front of that feather. That'll be our wing case. Now, since this is flat tinsel, we want to make sure it's laying flat. And we'll palmer that up through. And one right in front, that'll lock it down. And one wrap, that'll hold it, then we can get this silly feather out of the way. And we can cut it off. It's locked in, it's not going anywhere. And we'll make sure it's cinched down real good. Get a couple more wraps inside those lead wraps. And we'll take our dark dubbing, dark hare's ear, a little lick of the fingers. And this you probably need about half as much, since you're only going to dub that thorax, but we want it nice and fat. Proportions are the key here. You'll see when she's all finished. If the head's not nice big, this front end, this thorax is a nice round. It takes something away. A nice big thorax there. We'll make sure that feather's nice and flat. Pull it down over. Nice little soft loop there. That looks pretty good. And we'll give it 2 or 3 turns to lock it in, and we'll give it 2 or 3 turns underneath. Nice snug turns. Trim it off nice and close. There we go. That's what we want. We don't want a bunch of thread in that eyelet. Or a bunch of feather butts. And we'll build up a nice little head. Whip finisher. Make our figure 4. We'll give that one 4 wraps. It looks like it could use an extra one. Snug her down. Trim it off nice and close. And we'll take some head cement, Sally Mae's, just a dab on them threads. And we're going to give a little brush on top of that wing case, give it a little more strength. Those mallard flanks are fairly weak. We don't want them to get shredded too early. Now I like to trim this abdomen back a little bit, just to enhance that tapered look of any of these big flyaway guard hairs. But we don't want to ruin the buggy look of it. We want it to look buggy, we want it to look sporadic, I guess you'd just call it. And there you have gold-ribbed hares here. Easy and productive. One of my favorites. Thanks for joining me. Hope you'll subscribe to my channel. Join me next time.